Hello, my name is Graham Moss, Principal Building Surveyor for the Australian Building Codes Board. This video is a brief overview of changes to Part C4, Protection of Openings, found in Section C of NCC 2022, Volume 1. The first change I want to talk about today is C4D10, which is in NCC 2019, known as C3.9. This is the provision that stops fire-isolated exits from having penetrations, except for the few things that would be necessary. For example, in this photograph here, we have a hydrant riser, which is necessary to meet particular requirements of the NCC. And so, of course, it's allowed to have that hydrant riser penetrate into the fire-isolated exit. C3.9 or C4D10 also allows electrical wiring, so you can put lights in there. Of course, pressurisation ducting is something else that's been allowed for a long time to penetrate a fire-isolated exit. For 2022, we've added fire service test drain pipes because it's common practice to put the test drain out in the basement car park or somewhere else outside of the fire-isolated exit so that the water drained from that test pipe can be dealt with in a place that's not a fire-isolated exit. Apparently this is a common performance solution, so we've included this sensible inclusion in NCC 2022. This next change is to do with C316 construction joints, or C4D16 in 2022. Here's what it looks like in NCC 2019. C316 in 2019 is quite restrictive because when you use a tested system to achieve an FRL, what you put on site needs to be identical to the tested prototype. This doesn't align with other provisions like Schedule 5, which applies concurrently, and Schedule 5 lets you use a different arrangement that has been certified by the accredited testing laboratory. It doesn't have to be identical with the prototype. So for 2022, that flexibility is introduced for construction joints also in C4D16. There's another change in Section C to cover, and that's in Specification 5, which is known in NCC 2019 as Specification C1.1. Now this change is to do with Class 2 and 3 timber framing concession. That's the concession which lets you build a 3-storey Class 2 or 3 with timber framing, even though other provisions, say C1.9a, would require some elements to be non-combustible. So for 2022, we've added the subclause C shown by the orange arrow on this slide. Notwithstanding Spec 5 C3.1c, timber framing may be used. Now I'll show you what Specification 5 Clause 3.1c is on the next slide, but before we get there I just want to show you something about that word notwithstanding. Now notwithstanding is a word that's used quite often in the NCC and some people get confused by it, so I'm going to give you a little tip today. When you see the word notwithstanding, simply think despite what it says in, because that's what it means, notwithstanding. So, despite what it says in Specification 5, Clause 3.1c, timber framing may be used for a part of the building that provides support to a part of the building constructed of timber framing. What does Specification 5, Clause 3.1c say? Well, here it is. This is fire protection for support of another part. That's an existing provision found in Specification C1.1, Clause 2.2. And that's that part of the BCA in Spec C1.1 that says if you are supporting something that needs to be non-combustible, then the thing that you support it with has to also be non-combustible. Now, considering the timber framing concession, if you have an external wall that would need to be non-combustible, but because that concession can contain timber framing, if you support that with a brace wall, an internal brace wall, then under Spec 5 C3.1c, it would be required to be non-combustible. So of course we've included this additional concession as a clarification for NCC 2022 because it's always been intended that timber framing can be used throughout when that concession is used.